Your life has been ignoring its greatest power all along, your words. Just 3 days, only 3 days of how you talk to yourself can change your destiny. Think about it. Every word you speak is a seed that shapes your future. If you want real change in your life, start by changing the way you talk to yourself. For the next 3 days, the most powerful shift you can make is deciding that every word you speak to yourself will be intentional, empowering, and aligned with who you want to become. Your entire identity is shaped by the internal dialogue you repeat every day. Before your habits change, before your discipline increases, before your life transforms, your words must shift first. Because language is the foundation of identity, and identity is the foundation of behavior. Whatever you consistently say to yourself, you eventually become. Most people never change because they keep speaking the same language that created the life they no longer want. When you wake up in the morning and immediately tell yourself you're tired, behind, or overwhelmed, you're not describing your reality. You're creating it. Your brain follows the instruction of your words. If your mouth keeps repeating weakness, your mind stops searching for strength. If your words point toward limitation, your life will adjust to that limitation. But when, for 3 days, you choose to speak with power, clarity, and intention, you interrupt the old programming that has been running your life on autopilot. You create new neural paths. You reshape your identity. You change the standard you operate from. You begin to act like someone who expects victory instead of someone who tolerates defeat. Your words set the tone for your identity because your identity is built on the beliefs you reinforce. The truth is, identity is not discovered, it's constructed. And it is constructed with the material of your self-talk. A person who consistently says, "I'm not disciplined," will behave according to that identity. A person who says, "I'm terrible with money," will live down to that belief. A person who says, "I always give up," will keep proving themselves right. But when you flip the script, when you declare, "I am disciplined, I am learning, I am capable, I am becoming better every day," your identity begins to stretch into that new possibility. And once your identity shifts, your behavior must follow. For 3 days, become deeply aware of every sentence you say to yourself. Notice when you speak in fear. Notice when you speak in limitation. Notice when you shrink yourself with language that doesn't match your potential. Then replace those words with a new, stronger vocabulary. You are not lying to yourself. You are leading yourself. There is a difference. Weakness is not your truth. Weak talk is just your habit. Change the talk, and you will uncover the strength that was already inside you. During these 3 days, speak to yourself the way a champion speaks to themselves. Speak to yourself the way a leader speaks. Speak to yourself the way the best version of you would speak. Every statement should elevate, not diminish. Speak with certainty, even if you haven't fully become that version of yourself yet. Your identity needs the direction your words provide. You cannot rise while speaking the language of your lower self. And for 3 days, refuse to use any word that pulls you backwards. Every time you speak, imagine you are building a future version of yourself with your sentences. Because you are. If you speak in weakness, you're building a weak version. If you speak in strength, you're building a strong one. The version you choose to build begins with the words you choose to use. If you want a future filled with confidence, speak confidently now. If you want a future of discipline, speak disciplined thoughts now. If you want a future of growth, speak like someone who grows on purpose. Your voice is the most influential voice in your life. Use it on purpose. For the next 3 days, let every word construct the strongest identity you've ever carried. Speak the language of victory. Speak the language of purpose. Speak the language of the life you're stepping into. And watch how quickly your identity starts to rise to the level of your words. Every person carries an inner script, a story that plays in the background of their mind. That script is shaped by years of repeated thoughts, emotional patterns, and the language you've used to describe yourself. For most people, that script becomes so familiar that they don't even notice it anymore. They don't question it, they don't challenge it, and they don't replace it. They simply obey it. That is why so many people stay stuck in the same patterns year after year. They are speaking words that keep them locked in an older version of themselves. But for the next 3 days, you are going to interrupt that script. You are going to replace every limiting sentence with identity shifting statements that move you forward instead of holding you back. Limiting self. Talk doesn't always sound dramatic. It can be subtle. It can sound like, "This is just how I am," or "I always mess things up," or "I don't think I can do that." These statements feel small, but they are powerful because your brain treats them as instructions. Your mind is always listening, always organizing your internal world to match the words you consistently speak. When you say, "I'm not good enough," your brain starts finding evidence to prove that belief true. When you say, "I can't," your brain immediately stops looking for solutions. Limiting self-talk doesn't just describe your reality, it creates your reality. That is why for the next 3 days, your job is to catch these sentences the moment they show up. Don't let them pass through your mind unchallenged. Don't let them grow roots. The moment you hear yourself thinking or saying something that shrinks your potential, stop and replace it. This is not about pretending everything is perfect. This is about refusing to speak words that weaken you. You are learning to use your voice as a tool for elevation, not destruction. Whenever your mind whispers, "I can't do this," respond immediately with, "Yes, I can. I'm learning. I'm improving." Whenever you think, "I've always been like this," answer with, "I can grow. I can change. I'm not locked into my past." When your old story says, "People like me never succeed," say, "I am breaking patterns. I am creating a new standard for myself." Replace every limiting belief with a statement that aligns with who you're becoming. You don't need to believe the new statements fully on day one. You just need to say them consistently. Identity is built through repetition. Your mind will believe what you feed it often enough. At first, your old thoughts may feel louder. Your old patterns may push back. But if you stay consistent, the new language will begin to take root. You will feel your energy shift. You will notice your emotions begin to rise instead of collapse. You will start acting differently because you are talking to yourself differently. The goal is not to create unrealistic statements that don't resonate with you. The goal is to create empowering statements that move you forward. If you feel weak, saying, "I am powerful" might feel fake, but saying, "I am growing stronger every day" might feel true enough to repeat. The point is to choose language that stretches you without disconnecting from you. Step by step, sentence by sentence, you will build a new version of yourself from the inside out. You must understand this: your self-talk is training your identity. Your identity is training your behavior. Your behavior is training your future. If you want a different future, start with different words. If you want a stronger identity, speak stronger language. If you want a life filled with courage, confidence, and purpose, use words that build courage, confidence, and purpose. For the next 3 days, treat every limiting thought like an intruder. Don't let it stay. Replace it with words that lift you, guide you, and shape you. You are rewriting the script of your life, and every sentence you speak becomes a building block of who you are becoming. Replace the old language, speak the new identity, and watch how quickly the internal change begins to shape your external world. Most people talk to themselves from the standpoint of their fears, their failures, and their past experiences. They speak from who they used to be instead of who they are becoming. They let their old identity make decisions for their future self. But true transformation begins when you flip that perspective. For the next 3 days, you are going to speak to yourself as the person you want to become, not the person you used to be. This shift may sound simple, but it is one of the most powerful changes you can make in your internal world. Your future self is wiser, stronger, more disciplined, more focused, and more courageous. That version of you already exists as a possibility. And possibility becomes reality when you begin to speak in alignment with it. Every time you open your mouth, you are either reinforcing your past or pulling yourself toward your future. Most people stay stuck because they keep rehearsing the language of the person they no longer want to be. I always procrastinate. I'm not confident. I'm not motivated. This is just who I am. These are not reflections of truth. They are reflections of habit. And habits change when identity changes, and identity changes when language changes. For the next 3 days, your job is to internalize the voice of your future self. Imagine how the strongest version of you would speak. Imagine the tone, the certainty, the belief, the clarity. Now bring that voice into your now. If the future you is disciplined, speak the language of discipline now. If the future you is confident, speak the language of confidence now. If the future you is successful, speak the language of success now. You cannot become the best version of yourself while speaking the language of your lowest self. When you speak to yourself as the person you want to become, something powerful happens. Your mind begins to shift its identity framework. The brain is not fixed. It is responsive. It listens. It adapts. It reorganizes itself based on the signals you repeatedly give it. If you spend years telling yourself you are weak, undisciplined, or unworthy, your mind will build a reality around those statements. But if you spend the next 3 days speaking from the identity of someone who is focused, powerful, capable, and worthy, your brain will begin to rewire itself to align with that new identity. Speak like someone who expects growth. Speak like someone who expects progress. Speak like someone who expects breakthroughs. The language you choose must match the future you desire. Instead of saying, I hope I can change, say, I am changing. Instead of saying, I don't know if I can do this, say, I am learning how to do this. Instead of saying, I struggle with discipline, say, I am building discipline every day. These small shifts create massive internal momentum. Your words act like leadership for your identity. When you speak from your future, you lead your mind, your emotions, and your actions into alignment with that future. You stop waiting for motivation and begin generating it. You stop waiting for confidence and start creating it. You stop waiting to feel ready and start identifying as someone who shows up before the feelings catch up. For the next 3 days, treat yourself, talk as a form of rehearsal. You are rehearsing the role of the person you want to become. The more you rehearse it, the more natural it feels. The more natural it feels, the more you act like it. The more you act like it, the faster you become it. Identity is not built by accident, it's built by intention. And intention begins with the words you use. Speak to yourself like the strongest version of you is already here. Speak to yourself like you have already overcome. Speak to yourself like you are already walking in your next level. because the moment your language rises, your identity rises with it. And when your identity rises, your entire life begins to follow. Most people don't realize that their emotions are not the cause of their self-talk. They are the result of it. The way you speak to yourself determines the atmosphere inside your mind. If you use words of fear, frustration, and failure, you will feel fear, frustration, and failure. If you use words of strength, purpose, and resilience, you will feel empowered. Your emotional cycles are shaped, strengthened, and repeated through the conversations you have with yourself every day. And for the next 3 days, your mission is to use your self-talk as a tool to break the emotional cycles that have been holding you hostage. Every negative emotional loop starts as a sentence. Before you feel defeated, you tell yourself a defeated thought. Before you feel anxious, you imagine a scenario and speak fear into yourself. Before you feel hopeless, you narrate a story about why things won't work out. Your mind reacts to the story you tell it. If you speak in a way that brings heaviness, your emotions will match that heaviness. If you speak in a way that triggers strength, your emotions will begin aligning with that strength. Emotions follow language. Never forget that. For the next 3 days, pay close attention to the emotional patterns you experience. When you feel anxious, ask yourself what you were saying internally right before that feeling showed up. When you feel discouraged, examine the sentence that sparked it. You will notice that you have emotional habits, patterns you've repeated so often that they feel automatic. But the truth is, they are not automatic, they are learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. You break emotional cycles by breaking the words that feed them. When fear rises, do not feed it with sentences like, "This always happens to me," or "I can't do this." Replace them with statements like, "I am capable of handling what's in front of me," or "I choose strength right now." When frustration shows up, don't strengthen it with, "I'm failing," or "Nothing works for me." Instead, speak words that shift your focus. "I am learning," "I'm getting better," "I'm getting better," or "I'm figuring this out." These new words interrupt the emotional loop before it gains momentum. Becoming aware of your emotional cycles doesn't make you weak. It makes you powerful. It gives you the ability to intervene. Most people let their emotions drag them across the day like a storm they can't escape. They allow one negative moment to become a negative hour and one negative hour to become a negative day. But those moments didn't expand on their own. They expanded because the person continued feeding them with the same internal dialogue that created them. For 3 days, refuse to speak in ways that reinforce your lowest emotional state. Refuse to tell yourself stories that deepen the chaos. Refuse to use language that repeats your past pain. Instead, speak to the emotional state you want to create. If you want peace, speak peace. If you want clarity, speak clarity. If you want confidence, speak confidence. Your words will lead your emotions where you want them to go. And here's what you will notice when you shift your language: your emotions won't change instantly every time, but they will begin to soften. They will begin to move. They will begin to lose their grip, because emotions are like waves. They rise and fall. But your words are the anchor that determines where you stay. When your language is empowered, your emotional storms become shorter, weaker, and easier to navigate. For the next 3 days, use your words as a weapon against emotional chaos. Don't let your feelings speak louder than your purpose. Don't let your past emotional patterns dictate your present. Speak the language of emotional strength, even if your feelings haven't caught up yet, because your emotions eventually follow the direction your words consistently give them. Break the cycle with your voice. Break it with your decisions. Break it with the story you tell yourself. Every time you choose empowered language, you weaken the emotional patterns that once controlled you. And day by day, your inner world becomes stronger, calmer, and more aligned with the person you are becoming. The reason most people never build momentum in life is because they wait for motivation to magically show up. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, or the perfect burst of energy. But momentum is not something you sit around and hope for. It is something you create through consistent repetition. For the next 3 days, you are going to build that momentum through deliberate, empowering self-talk. This is not about saying a few positive lines and hoping life changes. This is about using repeated declarations to train your mind, strengthen your identity, and activate the version of you that shows up with power, not hesitation. Every time you repeat an empowering statement, you are carving a new pathway in your mind. At first, it feels unfamiliar. It may even feel uncomfortable. But the brain responds to repetition. What you say again and again becomes what you eventually believe. And what you believe becomes how you act. This is why the most successful people in the world rehearse the same powerful thoughts daily. Because repetition builds belief, and belief builds behavior. For the next 3 days, your job is to feed your mind powerful language from morning until night. Before you check your phone, before you open your messages, before you step into your day, speak words that elevate your mindset. I am focused. I am capable. I am committed to my goals. I am becoming stronger every day. Say it even when you don't feel it. Say it especially when you don't feel it. Because the moment you speak it, you shift the atmosphere inside you. Momentum doesn't start big. It starts with small sentences repeated consistently. Think about how easily negative momentum builds. One frustrated thought leads to another. One doubt multiplies into 5 more. One insecurity becomes a whole emotional spiral. That happens because the mind builds momentum around whatever you feed it most. So imagine what would happen if for 3 days you fed it only words that push you forward. Throughout your day, speak powerful declarations during the moments you usually weaken. If you normally get tired in the afternoon, use that moment to speak energy into yourself. I still have strength. I finish what I start. I am focused even when I feel tired. If you normally hesitate before taking action, interrupt that hesitation with new language. I take action quickly. I trust myself. I'm moving forward now. If you usually doubt yourself in quiet moments, flip the script. I am enough. I am growing. I am worthy of progress. You're not only talking to your present self, you're training your future self. Every repeated declaration becomes part of your inner identity. 3 days of consistent self-talk may feel small, but it creates internal momentum that carries into the days, weeks, and months ahead. What feels forced on day 1 becomes natural by day 3. What feels unnatural right now becomes automatic when repeated enough times. The reason repetition works is because the mind eventually gets tired of resisting what you keep telling it. At some point, the old beliefs get quieter, the new beliefs get louder, and you start acting like the person you've been speaking over yourself. That's the moment momentum appears. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop buying into your doubts. You stop repeating the old story and start living the new one. For the next 3 days, don't miss a single opportunity to reinforce who you are becoming. Use the morning to set the tone, use the afternoon to strengthen your identity, and use the night to seal your progress. Repeat your declarations until they sink in. Repeat them until your emotions shift. Repeat them until your actions begin to match your words. Your life does not change because you said something once. It changes because you said it enough times that your mind finally accepted it as truth. Momentum is built through repetition, and repetition is built through commitment. For 3 days, commit to speaking the language of your next level, and you will start feeling the pull of your future self guiding you forward. Every word you speak is a seed planted in the garden of your future. Most people don't realize this. They think words are temporary, harmless, casual. But nothing you say to yourself is ever casual. Every sentence you repeat creates a belief. Every belief creates an identity. Every identity shapes a destiny. This is why, for the next 3 days, you must treat every statement you speak as a seed that will eventually grow into the reality you experience. Think of the times you spoke negatively about yourself. I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. Nothing ever works out for me. You didn't just express frustration, you planted seeds of doubt, fear, and limitation. And those seeds grew into emotions, decisions, habits, and eventually outcomes. The results you see today are the harvest of yesterday's self-talk. But the beauty of life is this: you can always plant new seeds. You can always choose a different future. You can always rewrite the direction of your life by changing the words you speak today. For the next 3 days, you are going to plant intentionally. Every sentence must be chosen with care. If you speak strength, you plant strength. If you speak discipline, you plant discipline. If you speak purpose, you plant purpose. The seeds you plant now will grow into the version of yourself you meet in the future. So treat every word as sacred. Begin by recognizing that your words shape your expectations. When you declare, "I will grow," your mind starts preparing for growth. When you say, "I am becoming stronger," your identity shifts in that direction. When you say, "I am worthy of good things," your heart becomes more open to receiving them. These aren't just motivational lines. These are identity codes. They program the internal system that guides your decisions, your reactions, and your opportunities. 3 days of intentional self-talk can break years of mental patterns. Because when you plant new seeds consistently, the old seeds lose power. The negative thoughts that once felt automatic begin to wither. The doubts that once controlled you begin to weaken. The fears that once stopped you begin to fade. You become the gardener of your mind rather than the victim of your past planning. Throughout the day, watch your language closely. When you catch yourself using words that create the future you don't want, stop and replace them. Don't let destructive seeds reach the soil. If you hear yourself say, "I can't," replace it immediately with, "I can learn." If you say, "I always fail," replace it with, "I'm getting better every day." If you say, "I'm not disciplined," replace it with, "I'm building discipline step by step." This is not pretending. This is choosing. You are choosing the type of future you want to grow. You must treat your words as the water that nourishes your future. Speak every declaration with intention, with belief, with the awareness that these words are shaping something inside you. When you say, "I am becoming the best version of myself," you're not describing your present, you're planting your future. And the future you plant with conviction will eventually become the future you live. At night, when the world is quiet and your thoughts are the loudest, choose your words carefully. That is when seeds sink deep. Speak gratitude, speak strength, speak progress, speak your next level. You are rewriting the script that will play in your mind tomorrow, next week, and next year. And here's what makes this powerful: seeds don't grow overnight, but momentum does. After 3 days of planting strong, intentional words, you will feel a shift. Maybe small, maybe subtle, but unmistakable. You will feel more centered, more hopeful, more in control of your life, more grounded in your identity. And from that shift, growth begins. The seeds you plant during these 3 days may become the foundation of the next chapter of your life. So speak carefully, speak powerfully, speak as if every word matters, because it does. Your future is listening. Your identity is listening. Your destiny is listening. Plant the seeds of the life you want, and let your words build the foundation of the person you are becoming. The choice is yours. Will you build your future with the words you speak? 3 days of effort, a new identity, and a life that follows the words you choose. Once you learn to harness the power of your words, every day becomes a victory. Now is the time to speak to the champion within. Speak, believe, and become who you were meant to be